I've been supporting the Literary Festival prior to becoming a Member of Parliament because it's incredibly important for the island, and it's very important for a bunch of reasons. But the island's landscape and coastline is probably, in relation to its size, the most written about and most celebrated by painters and poets and artists, probably anywhere else in the UK. So our coastline on the south of the island, along with West Cornwall, is the most painted coastline in Britain. We have many of the poetic and artistic greats that have either come here for inspiration or very often actually lived here as well. So, and what's frustrated me over 50 years, I think really after World War II, we forgot about this unique and remarkable inheritance that we had, and we should be celebrating it for aspiration, for education, but actually also economically, because enjoying culture and cultural tourism, cultural visitor economy is incredibly important. So I'm delighted that the Isle of Wight Festival exists. It's a fantastic idea, and I've been supporting it for many years now. And actually, you know, on your politics panel, I regularly get, it's very kind of you to invite me to take part, and I regularly get sort of telling off by all and sundry at that slot. So I'm used to sort of playing a modest role in it myself.
Of course, authors have a kind of aura, don't they, of belief, and people follow them, don't they? Yes,
and we have an amazing selection of authors this year. I mean, you've been rattling off the names. We have sort of world famous, almost everybody who's taking part in the online festival this year is sort of world renowned in either as an actor or a writer or in some way. There's that great quote, actually, I should have checked this beforehand. Thackeray's daughter came here in 1850 when Thackeray was staying, and she said, everybody in the Isle of Wight is there nobody who's not a painter or an artist or is extraordinary in some kind of way? Because I think they were staying in the West Wight with the freshwater set, and you had Carlyle, and you had Tennyson there, you had Lewis Carroll, who hung around, he was a Tennyson groupie. You had Julia Margaret Cameron, who's one of the great pioneers of photography. So yeah.
Charles Dickens.
Well, Charles Dickens was writing, what was it, David Copperfield, on the other side, down in Bonchurch at the Winterbourne at the time. But he only stayed here, so he's sort of, there's a little bit of a link to Dickens, but much more to many other people, like Tennyson's brother, who had much greater input here.
Well, sadly, of course, Northwood House, which is this lovely place in Cowes, can't actually welcome the authors and the guests, but no. You know, it's still being done in a different way.
It is being done in a different way, and actually being done in a really amazing way. And we sort of assume everyone's going to be tech savvy, but again, the island is one of those places that's leading the way in how we're going to be doing an online festival. It's a shame that we're not seeing the artist in the flesh, but actually I think when we get back to normal, which we will at some point, I think the future lies in not only having people here to listen to people in the flesh and to get a sense of what they're about, and you need that human contact for that, but actually doing it online as well, so that you can have a festival when you have 80, 100 people in a room listening to, I don't know, Jeremy Irons or Anna Pasternak, but also you can have 10 people or 10 million people, you know, online, because you're making it available as well. So I hope in future we will be able to mix the virtual and the real to have even more impact. So our authors get more of a market, more listened to, because culture is important and ennobles our lives, and it's important for so many reasons. It's a very good way of getting around the COVID problems, and I'm really sorry that they're happening this year, and it's really unfortunate.
But it does mean people have been reading more.
Allegedly, yes. I was listening to the radio last week, and 300 books published a day or something. Now, I know that a lot of authors get their books out in September. So actually the timing of the Isle of Wight Festival is great timing, because you have a lot of the potential Christmas books or the Christmas bestsellers coming out in September. So just after the summer holidays are all out there. So you've got the book market picking up. So the timing of the Isle of Wight Literary Festival in sort of early to mid-October, sort of end of the tourism season. It's still, you know, beautiful and sunny weather. The island is the sunniest place in Britain and one of the warmest. So it's a great time, and it's a great time for authors to be out talking about the book. So I'm delighted they're doing it anyway, and thank you for those authors for continuing to take a part. I'm sorry they're not going to be here in person, but I look forward to listening to all those folks over the weekend what you're doing, it's a brilliant idea, Isle of Wight Literary Festival, is doing it on your own website. So we go to the website and we see these sort of web stream, I presume, or whatever we're calling it. Can we call it, I think we should call it something exciting and funky, the Literary Festival stream or something, whatever we're going to call it, so that people can listen in and take part in it, even if we can't be here in person. You could track and trace here. Look, I mean, if the Isle of Wight, if it's not first, it tends to be last. So either we get pilot schemes and we get things first, or we slightly get to be an afterthought because nobody quite realises that the Isle of Wight's an island, and I still find it very frustrating trying to explain to government that the Isle of Wight's an island. It's almost like there's a willful desire not to recognise that, as if I'm trying to explain gravity to a hedgehog or something. It's just in Scotland, because there are lots of islands, the concept of an island is understood. It costs a bit more to provide government services. You have to do a little bit of time and effort, because if you're separated by sea from the mainland, there is an issue. But it seems to be it doesn't always apply to the island, so I find it hugely frustrating. So anyway, having said that, Matt Hancock and the health team were great. They were keen to come here. I was keen to have them here. The first time round, half the Trace and Test app worked really well. The algorithm for the Android systems worked really well. The algorithm for the Apple barely worked at all, basically. And because of that, it was unfortunately scrapped. It's a sad thing, but actually the important thing is that the island played its part, and we downloaded it in record numbers. So there was a desire to help because it was good for us and it helps kept us safe, and it actually may have made a difference. Even having the unsuccessful app effectively may have made a difference in reducing a transition, because it was a reminder on people's phones, people had a high awareness of it. So actually just having that may have been beneficial in its own right. But we played our part in testing the system doesn't work, so it was taken off. That's fine. We did our bit, and that's what I said to government: if you come here, that's what we'll do. They've now tried the new app with Newham, which is good because you get some variety, and that app is now going forward. So we've done our bit, we've done really well with it, and what we need to be doing is persuading government to come here and try stuff first on the island, because I want folks on the island to get stuff first. Well, we're achieving things. I want a better deal from the island. Is that going to happen in some big bang eureka moment? I wish it was, but realistically it's not. But it is happening. So last year we got an extra 48 million for the NHS. I was supportive of that. It was NHS-led, but I was very supportive of that. This year, well, from late January onwards, the railway's going to shut because it's going to be rebuilt or significantly upgraded. We're getting new tracking places, new rolling stock, and everything is going to be sort of brought up to a higher standard. And this is the first investment that we've had in the railway for 50 years. We were probably going to get more money in the fair funding formula for local government, which was an important part of a better deal for the Isle of Wight. That is frustratingly, very frustratingly, been put on hold for a year because of COVID. So at the end of next year, we need to fight that battle again, but I'm hopeful that government is beginning to realise that there are additional costs in being an island that have to be recognised. So we are winning these battles. There's going to be a big battle coming up on housing and planning, which I'm going to fight tooth and nail, because the government's proposals for the island are simply not acceptable in my eyes, and I will fight that, and I will continue to fight that. So there are going to be a series of battles. There's also the battle over what we do about protection of our landscape. I want to negotiate with Natural England to get more of the island under protected landscape, and maybe we should in future be moving to maybe not a national park status, because national park is for landscape and not towns, but potentially for an island park status, which gives us maybe a higher planning level and our own exceptional circumstances across the island, and indicates that the island is a significant, unique and important place. We've become a UNESCO biosphere, which is great, but it doesn't make any change in English law, and what I want is something that has that recognised in law. And actually, for a national park, you need two things. You need a unique and special beauty, which it's very easy to make the case for the island on that, but you also need accessibility, and we have that because we have 500 miles of footpaths, we're renowned as a tourism centre, etc., which is another good reason why we need to keep the landscape protected. So we've got all the ingredients of a national park, but then again, because we've got some built-up areas and we want a single sort of unitary approach to how we deal with the island, I think you're trying to get special status as an island park is potentially the way ahead for the island that recognises the beauty of our landscape, but also the impact that it's had on human beings as well, be it the tourism, be it the Victorian tourism, be it the artists who've come here and celebrated the island, be it the lives of islanders as well, the farming and fishing, and indeed the Industrial Revolution as well. We began the wireless technology revolution. First place it was experimented on in the world, Allen Bay. And then we had more wireless technology experiments off St Catherine Sound. We built the hovercraft. Blue Street Rocket's engines were tested here. Thrust 2, the world's fastest car, was built on the Isle of Wight. You know, even on the Isle of Wight, even our thrusting's world class. What can I say? So you know, there's lots of fun, inventive stuff. We are now making on the island. Festustan in Newport is making those vast blades that you see in the offshore wind turbines that provide a very significant percentage now of UK energy. So people think that we've been always a place for creativity, but some of it's artistic and actually some of it's scientific, which really surprises some people. But yeah.
And here's a red flag. What about the chain ferry?
God, it's a bit of a nightmare. I mean, look, I could say before my time, it's the previous council, we've got to get to grips with it. And look, I've got to go to Ryde in an hour. It's going to take me an extra 45 minutes to go via Newport. I'm as irritated by this as anybody because I have to use this service as well. It's very frustrating, so I'm sorry. I write regular stroppy letters to the council saying what on earth is happening.